Hello YouTube, welcome back to another Yassit lap guide. My name is Sir Foch and today we are taking the Ferrari 296 around Oulton Park. The super bumpy narrow track that is maybe a little bit too small for GT3 cars to have good racing. Nevertheless, they do drive it here in real life in GT3s, and so do we in ACC, not very often, but it is definitely a track that is driven here. And there, the Ferrari 296, pretty rough around here, pretty rough. Lacks a bit of the acceleration as always, and on top of that, it's just not very good at clearing these curves, so like some other cars can do, so definitely losing a lot of time over the curbs. So it is very difficult to make that time up, and also not being able to take the curves that well leads to having consistency issues. But I guess the one positive thing is you're not very encouraged to go over them so much that you bump out all the pressures from your tires, which happens here very, very easily, and you should definitely keep your eyes on that. Definitely worth going for higher pressures on this track just to avoid the pressure loss. That being said, as always, let's talk about our braking markers, and then I'll show the hot lap that I cooked up so far. Left like a 10th in there, but for turn 1 we are looking at a turn-in board. After that there's a black stripe over the white line, or the white line gets darker. That's where we brake, turn in, can run to the white line, brake just before this crest for turn 2. Can run all the way over the curb there, but you don't want to go in the grass. Turning in when the side road begins, and here we're braking just after the rubber marks start. Lower TC, second gear exit, a bit too late on the exit there. And the chicane is very tricky. We brake at the red post, half a car over the curb, a little tap on the brakes, and we definitely want to avoid that little grass patch on the exit. A bit too wide on that one, but that grass patch really is going to bleed all the speed. Braking just after the brake board at 1 mark, upshifting a second, and here we can just lift to get a relatively good line through there. And now for the last sector, we are staying on the left, braking just before the sign on the right, well, quite a bit before. We get on power a bit earlier. And for the last corner, braking just before the turn-in sign. Second gear. A bit too wide on the exit, but once again, that's roughly the lap guide on Oulton. Super important to stay off the grass, as the pressure loss is going to be immense, and the car is very inconsistent in how it takes some of these curves, so avoiding the big curves as much as possible is key, and finding a safe line through the chicane. So here is our setup. Not much to see here apart from, once again, a reminder: take higher tire pressures than you think you'd need. It's better to be a bit high than to drop down way low during a race. So especially on the left side over that chicane curb, you're getting pressure loss there if you put even half of the car over the curb, which you have to do if you want to be competitive. Not much really to see here. We're basically cycling between 5 TC, 4 on the exits, 6 if you want to be more safe, but 5 is plenty. Nothing to see here. As you can see, we're making a lot of sacrifices in mechanical grip in general. We would like to have all of these settings on the minimal values, especially on the front, but we just can't really do that because the bumps are really brutal. Pretty stiff front dampers, somewhere in the middle on the rear. And aero-wise, once again, a lot of sacrifices here to make the car at least semi-consistent in how it takes the bumps. It still could be improved probably, but pace isn't too bad for what the Ferrari is doing here these days. But the car is at least a half a second off from the actual pace here. So obviously on Oulton, get a good quality lap and survive the race is the key. So that being said, I'll show you the hot lap and I'll see you on the next one.
best. Well done, mate. That's all the best.